PokeRamble Podcast.
Episode 48 of the PokeRamble Podcast. We'll be talking about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Grab yourself some cocoa because there's some more movie news. I got there. More movie news and some stuff about merch. Let's go. Yes, welcome to episode 48 of the PokeRamble Podcast. I'm the guy that can't talk, Kumail, and I'm your host. And joining me is the wonderful Battle Frontier brain himself, Amit.
Hey.
So apart from my talking, never mind. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm having a day. Today. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just been watching TV most of the day. So yeah, not really used to talking on a podcast, but we're getting there. So today we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. We're going to be glossing over the it's old, relatively new, but pretty much old in the Pokemon world news about the Diamond and Pearl remakes, stuff about the movie, some like cool merch that's come out that we're never going to get our hands on, and a little talk about the Evolutions episode that came out recently. But I understand that you've been out and about, and you participated in a TCG tournament.
I did. I will talk about that in a moment. I want to welcome people properly to episode 48 with my good bug friend Venonat. So let's talk about the Pokemon of the week.
You mean the Venonat, who's basically Butterfree's offspawn, but no one likes to talk about it.
It seemed logical with Butterfree's giant eyes that Venonat should evolve into Butterfree. That would make sense, right?
If you knew nothing about Pokemon and you asked someone to pair like mother and son, together, most people would put like Butterfree and Venonat together.
Well, they have a lot of things in common, both being part bug type.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Venonat poison oozes from all over its body, so you do not want to pick this Pokemon up. Every fiber of its being is poisonous.
Just wear gloves. That's what I do.
So it says it may be based on the venomous caterpillars, such as the pus caterpillar, since it's covered in long toxic hairs and evolves into a moth. Much like our good friend Venonat.
Damn. Actually, it does make sense that it evolves into venom moth.
It does, yeah.
Oh wow. I never knew that. That's crazy. So yeah, is that all we've got on Venonat?
It's a surprisingly unremarkable Pokemon.
I was just about to say, do you remember that guy in like Generation 4 anime? He's like, remarkable, or was it Generation 3? One of those two. It was like remarkable. Yeah, he wouldn't be saying that about Venonat, would he?
Oh, it was the Pokemon contest judge, and I want to say it was Gen 3.
I think it might be Gen 3, yeah, because just every contest, he's just like, remarkable.
That's a joke on the actual game where it's hard coded. Like that's one of the only things he says.
It's amazing. It honestly is. Cool.
So yeah, I was about the town this week.
Yep. Go on, give me the too long didn't listen version of it.
4 players, best of 3 tournament.
Yeah.
I went unbeaten, which I'm pleased about. That was cool. Ran a Charizard deck. It was awesome. I love Charizard. And the nicest thing is that I gave Rahul the exact same deck, and he did okay as well.
Okay, that's good. So basically, what you're telling me is you were the bully on the playground at that tournament.
In my defense, in one of the games, I swapped my deck with someone else's because his deck wasn't as good, and I still came through. So I feel like I'm not a bully. I feel like I gave people a fair chance.
Ironically, the other players didn't have any defense.
Shout out to Taha for being awesome and taking that defeat like a champ.
Well, enough of your bullying antics at a TCG tournament. I just wanted to give a happy birthday to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is 12 years old today.
Can you believe that we are so close to the Gen 4 remakes now, and possibly the best part of Gen 4, which was the Heart Gold Soul Silver remake?
Well, we're going to come on to that. I know where you're going with it. Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say, can you believe just how spectacular these games were?
Oh my god, yes. And I think in terms of a remake of a game, I think what it did in terms of upgrades from like its original sort of base version to this version, I don't think we're going to see anything as significant again, really, in a remake.
I really hope we do, because
Yeah.
it was so phenomenal.
Mm.
And we already know, and we'll come on to it later, there are some of the features that were actually really important in this game are going to be in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yeah, like features that haven't returned. Well, one feature returned limitedly in a game, but we'll come on to that.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, so let's move on to our first section. If I can get the jingle in. There we go. Our first section is Reach for the Shining Brilliant Diamond and Pearl Remake Stars. Dun, 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 dun.
Shout out to S Club 7.
yeah, S Club Route 7. Yeah, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So we had a trailer a little while ago for these games. Now, let's just say it's been absolutely crazy the fact that we didn't get anything at E3 previous to that, or like the Treehouse Club thing that's usually at E3, and it's taken this long for us to get updated news. Can you believe it?
I'm wondering if that just is a reflection on the development curve for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It seems odd to me that the Pokemon Company are releasing 2 pretty significant games in the space of 3 months.
Well,
I can only assume that there have been a few delays in at least Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
I would hazard to guess that this game probably didn't have as much of like an issue in terms of development than Legends Arceus did. That's for sure. I don't think it's development based why we haven't seen too much of this game. I theorize that it's either that they wanted to show it in conjunction with Legends Arceus and Legends Arceus was like dragging behind, or because these games are so familiar to people who grew up with these games, they didn't want to show too much because it'd be basically most of the same but with a new coat of paint. So just maybe one of those things, but it has been surprising in terms of the information curve.
It was surprising how much in the second video that we got, how many things they've crammed into this game.
Oh, in terms of showing off new things.
Yeah, and I mean, I think about, the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire remakes of Gen 3, and although those were fantastic games and the Delta episode was great, there were some really cool parts of Gen 3 that went missing. And the Battle Frontier is a really good example of that. And it's very clear from the outset that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are keeping absolutely as many features in from the original.
I think it's a bit of an unfair comparison because you think of it this way, right? It was called what? Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yes.
Not Emerald. So these games also won't have the Battle Frontier either. So and it is missing everything from Platinum. So I don't think you can make an apt comparison between the two. I think with Oras at least, I think the things that you need to give those games credit for is that it wasn't just the same game that you played all those years ago. It was in a completely different timeline. That some of the teams got remakes or makeovers. So Tabitha looks different, for example. You had Mega Evolution. You had like more interaction with Steven, for example, and also you've talked about the Delta episode. So I feel like. You also had like the mechanics of when you go into the grass you can find Pokemon with egg moves and stuff like that. I think it was called the Pokemon Radar, perhaps. So I think Pokenav. There we go. So I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire probably had that going for it, but with this it's basically a graphical sort of change, and a few things that we'll come on to. Such as, actually, before we get into it, in terms of excitement, so we're 2 months out. How excited are you for these games?
I was excited, but not like crazy excited. And then I saw the second video, the second presents. Now I'm day one super excited.
That's good. So my first question is then, in terms of the trailer music. So this thing puzzles me. Is the trailer music just music for the trailer, or are these sort of like soundtracks going to be in the game itself? What do you think?
I hope. I imagine some of it is cut for the trailer, but I would hope that at least a couple of those things hit the main game because they were really good.
See, I feel a bit conflicted because. Sorry, Mecha Shadow in the chat, we're recording a Twitch, says we know how much Amit loves egg moves. This is a reference to his obsession with egg Pokemon and Pokemon Masters. But I understood it kind of fit for a trailer, but for like Team Galactic's theme, for example, it's so iconic. I can hear it in my head right now. I don't think the one that played in the trailer would suit them when you're like interacting with them in a game.
I can only assume that in the same way that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon built new music sort of inspired by the originals, I would really hope they do the same with these.
I think that's what I think. I think Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are probably going to get like orchestral or some sort of like different instrumental versions of what we know, rather than whole new soundtracks. To be honest, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. But you know, we'll see. But that's just a quick question I wanted to ask in terms of the trailer, because it did confuse me a little bit. But let's talk about features then. First feature we saw. We were talking about this earlier. Heart Gold and Soul Silver was the last game, brackets, star, whatever you want to put on Let's Go, because it was quite limited in terms of the Pokemon. It was a bit of a...
Well, I was going to say Star Let's Go, but also Star Isle of Armor DLC.
Yeah, I guess that's right as well. But in terms of the full game, they brought it back. Pokemon Follow You.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's such a important part of making this world so real, is just having more Pokemon on screen all the time. And obviously Pokemon following you makes the relationship with you and the Pokemon you choose to have with you that much more special.
No, agreed. And is this an indication that, look, you give someone that's not Game Freak an opportunity to make a game and they can implement it, why aren't Game Freak doing better with, these sorts of features?
It's been a long time since I've really taken stock of how in some ways how much Game Freak have advanced the games, but in other ways how sort of regressive it's been. And it's hard because I don't know what's going on. I don't know how complicated any of these things are. Sorry, I'm a consumer and I know nothing. But it does seem like sometimes they just miss simple things that the fans seem to love that would make the game that much more fantastic. And the bring back the Pokemon following you in the Isle of Armor DLC is testament to the fact that they clearly knew it was important to people, and something that people wanted. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I am really thrilled it's back in the Gen 4 remakes, because I think it's just such a quintessential part of the experience.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely going to add a little bit more, like you said, to that relationship between yourself and Pokemon. And, people have had Pokemon that they've had since, the original Gen 4 that they brought up through Gen 4, through Gen 5, through Gen 6, and are going to look forward to bring them into these games. And, that's going to mean something to them, that they're going to be able to walk around with this Infernape that they've had for like 10 odd years or whatever.
I'll be really interested to see, and I didn't really get a sense of it from the trailer, if they're going to have Pokemon follow you at different speeds. One of the funniest things in the Isle of Armor DLC is when you put
Meltan,
like a Ditto or a Caterpie behind you, or a Meltan, and just watch it inch its way.
Yeah, Meltan was the one that took like 2 minutes for it to get to where its trainer was.
It's very funny, and I wonder, because they're being quite true to the top-down version of this game. I wonder if that won't be necessarily captured, and you'll have Caterpie sprinting after you at full tilt. I'll be curious.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to say, just you mentioned the Isle of Armor. I think now that they've got the models sort of like with the animations working, and they've got that in the bank now, I think going forward, if they choose to use the same sort of like style of Pokemon, or the same models of Pokemon, they can bring that to Gen 9 or whatever and not have a problem with it, because they're not going to make well, what I'm trying to say is, if they make a Gen 9 and there's like another 100 Pokemon, at least they don't have to do all like 800 before it now, because they've already got 800 models working. Yeah, theoretically. So we should be getting like following Pokemon going forwards. Fingers crossed.
Well, especially if Gen 9 is going to have a reduced Pokedex in the same way Sword and Shield did.
Oh Christ! Don't remind me.
Shout out to Purgly. Or Ugly.
Instead of reductions, let's talk about additions. So seals are back, but they're called stickers now.
This was probably my favorite feature in Gen 4.
Really?
Like just being able to be so customizable on the way your Pokemon enter battle.
Yeah.
And like, I will specifically go out of my way to catch Pokemon in some very specific balls to get that right entrance animation. And seals, I think, takes it that one step further.
Yeah.
And you get not just the visual effects, but also there's audio ones as well. I think it's just the perfect. It's
When
just
you put the music notes on the Pokeball,
it's
it does
the
that.
perfect way to make it personal to you. And I've always been a big fan of
And
that.
it does suit like things like contests and stuff like that. You know, it fits in with the whole theme. You know, having contests in this region as well as Hoenn, obviously, but. Yeah, it's a big thing. And actually, I was looking through the trailer and actually looking at the old games, and I can actually spot that there was about 3 more seals that have been added into this game. So I don't know if that's like, I don't know if like 50, I think it might have been 15, 16, 17, 18, one of those. But I don't know if that's the limit or if there's going to be even more that we haven't seen in the trailer. So, you know, we'll have to see. Another big thing that's in this game.
Do we, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
do we know if the full national dex is going to be available in this game?
Not sure at the moment.
There might be seals, but no dugong.
That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Pat yourself on the back. What else is brilliant is that you're going to be able to customize your trainer. Now, this is a much loved feature that we've had in past mainline games, but something that was absent from the original Diamond and Pearl. But have a look at that.
Ever since it was introduced in Gen 6, it's felt like a very important part of the personalizing of the experience for these games. And I think a lot of people want to be the protagonist themselves, and being able to change your outfits and your hair and your skin tone and all those other things, I think are really important steps forward to doing that. And obviously, you know, ever since Pokemon Crystal, being able to pick your gender, like it's, you know, these are all things that I think make the experience so personal to every individual. And I think I'm even more in favor of, you know, this kind of a thing where you can not just customize your skin tone and things, but actually the outfits as well.
Well, just on skin tone. Boom! You can choose your skin tone in these games now. Fantastic.
It's progressive. It's good. This is absolutely in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things when you play the games that you don't even think about, but then when you take a step back, you're like thinking, that would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? That you'd be able to, you know, choose your own skin tone and whatnot.
Did it never occur to you? I guess both of us being non-Caucasian ourselves, did it ever occur to you playing the earlier games?
No, I never thought about it.
It definitely, when I played Gen 3, and maybe this was just where I was in my life, it definitely was something I noticed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, everyone's white. That's a thing in this game. And often the people who weren't were the bad guys, right? Shout out to
shout out to Brock. Well, he's bad for different reasons.
Yeah, but no, this is all stuff that, you know, now has become staples in the Pokemon series. I'm all for it. I think it's great.
I mean, I do want to go to Pokemon, but I don't necessarily think it was fair to say that people who are colored were bad, because we've had Giovanni from Generation 1 and he's always been white. So like, you know.
No, but that just because white people are bad doesn't mean that not all ethnic minorities are bad.
No. That's what I'm saying though. I'm saying I don't think we should pay too much sort of like stock as into like what color bad guys or heroes are in general.
No.
But I
think that's a facet of the fact that the early games were based on Japan, and you know that is the skin tone for the majority of the Japanese population. Yeah, I think it's very easy to say it was acceptable back then. Totally was.
I don't think it was anything like. I don't think
it wasn't intentional or malicious. Not at all.
Because we have to remember at the end of the day, these games are linked to characters that we have in like other forms of media, like the manga, for example. Like, for example, this is Lucas right here, right? He's normally white, Lucas, but like you were saying earlier, you want the protagonist to be you because you're the one playing this game. You want that agency, and therefore having this is a great addition.
And actually, really strange to see Dawn with different hair colors. But I think again,
I didn't even got that.
It's a nice way for it to be really personal, right?
Yeah.
And Lucas has obviously got different hair colors as well. It's obviously more noticeable on Dawn because she's got long hair, but it's again a nice color.
Yeah. So making such as representation matters, and more power to you.
Yeah.
There we go. Or to us, I should say. Talking of power, look at that Pichu with that power pose, because we've got Pokemon contests coming back, but it looks like it's been revamped.
This is the thing that made me probably most excited in the actual video that we got.
What, the Bidoof in the background?
Shout out to Bidoof. It's just the fact that we get so much more in the context experience, and I liked contest in Gen 3 because it was new. But in Gen 4, it just felt very samey. Like there was no real development.
Well, I think in Gen 4 there was the sort of like I think with Gen 4 it was less battle focused and more like compartmentalized. What's that? How do you say the word? There you go, compartmentalized. There we go. Where it was like you've got the sort of fashion stage where you get some hearts, and then you've got the dancing, and then you've got like the battle stage that we knew from Generation 3. But they're taking this up a notch, making it more interactive and making it more immersive. Is that the word? Yeah, immersive.
Immersive is definitely the right word. I think it's a great way to show off the fact that, and you know, you can very clearly see that these models are, you know, not necessarily lifted from Sword and Shield, but it gives you the vibe that, you know, even though the majority of the game
I would probably hazard to say you're probably bang on right on that, because I think with Generation 6 they wanted to make these models that would be future proof to bring up generations. I think they definitely have been pulled with like minor, like, you know, touches and tweaks to the graphics itself.
And I'm sure that, you know, they've retextured things here and there and whatnot. But what I will say is it's a nice way to show off the fact that they've put all this time and effort into actually animating the models.
Yeah, and again, credit to Ilka, you know, Game Freak trusting them to do the job, and it looks like they are, you know, making significant additions that are going to make the gameplay a lot more enjoyable when we visit these regions.
Do you think we'll get PvP contests?
No, I don't.
Dude, wouldn't that be awesome?
I mean, that's one of the things where you're in a board meeting and you're like, what about PvP contests? And then you get thrown out of the building because they're like, it's too much work for us.
All right, I tried. I tried for you guys.
Yeah.
I tried, all right?
That would have been a really, really good idea. And, you know,
Pikachu dance off, I'm all about it.
You know, we might be wrong. We might actually have these, you know, in the game, because we've got the Union Room now, which is another thing that's returning, which is you can just hang out in a room, trade, battle, all that kind of stuff.
So much better than the Pokemon home rooms.
Yeah, but I doubt. I think it would be too good to be true to have like PvP contests.
Well, I'm predicting it now. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Well, we'll see what happens down in the underground, because look at that. We've got these new. So we've got the Grand Underground, which is, you know, the underground from Generation 4, where you can, you know, break into a mine, get some stones from a wall, build a secret base. But now you can find these little like hidden grottos, the hidden areas, where you can find Pokemon.
Like a very clever way to bring past generation Pokemon into the game, in much the same way that Altering Cave did in Gen 3, and then there were other ways that were implemented in other generations. But it's nice just to have little
the Mirage Caves in like Oras as well.
Was it Mirage Caves? Yeah. And I think it's great. It's nice to see the underground getting a boost, and also secret bases are back.
Yeah. Here's something for you. So not only secret bases are back, but you know the do you know in Gen 4 we had local communication? So if you were with your mates and you were in the underground, you could like all go to the underground together.
Yeah.
Well, now there's online communication, so now you can visit these little grottos with your friends and find all the Pokemon.
I'm gonna put so much time into making my secret base good.
So I was gonna say, you know, in much like how the wild area was when you first experienced it, you're like hooked on it. You didn't want to leave the wild area for a while. You wanted to see what other Pokemon were there and whatnot. I think this will be the equivalent to the wild area for me, where I'll be spending too much time as soon as I get the drill to get underground.
Shout out to that level 21 Onyx in the wild area who nearly ruined your team.
Yeah, you had to get that Pokédoll or whatever to run away. That was super scary. Yeah,
or you just gung ho with Sobble.
No. I know this type of effectiveness, but that was too much to ask Sobble because he starts crying. But there's overworld models now, so there isn't going to be overworld models for like the standard routes and whatnot, but in this underground cave there will be.
Yeah, and again, I wonder if they're pulling some of the resources from Let's Go, and maybe this is a hint that we might be getting more games in the future along this kind of line, like along the Let's Go line with overworld Pokemon, because that's obviously
people love that,
integral, I think, to the Let's Go experience. Yeah, and I wonder how they've pulled the assets together, because there's obviously again time and energy spent on this, but it's cool.
And
I guess there could be scaled down versions of the original models.
Yeah, and again just retextured and whatnot. But I think with the big thing, Ilka didn't have to worry about things like story and stuff like that, because they've already got the base template for that, and they've got like a lot of the buildings already designed and whatnot. They just needed to do them or remake them, let's say. So it shouldn't have been that difficult, you know, to get these models. And it's limited models. There's not going to be like 900 Pokemon in these underground caves. There's going to be a spawn table. So
the most important thing about this image, by the way, is confirmation that you can have Ferret following you around the whole time.
What else is really cool is I was looking at the sort of Pokédex lists, and I was analyzing sort of like the underground grottos and whatnot. And what's really interesting is Pokemon that were exclusive to Platinum, like Houndour and Houndoom, they are accessible through this sort of underground grotto. So that's pretty cool that we'll be getting some sort of like Platinum representation through this.
And I think it will be interesting to see what version exclusives they have and whether that will extend to as it normally does, like the quote unquote national decks as well. Because they've confirmed some version exclusives already. So the fossil Pokemon, I think Perugly and Skuntank are exclusive, and obviously Dialga and Palkia. But it'd be interesting to see what other Pokemon fit into those categories.
Yeah, and can I ask you, what was the hardest Pokemon to catch in Gen 4?
Shout out to Munchlax.
Yeah. Now, I spotted a Munchlax in the snowy area. So that Pokemon should be like theoretically 1,000 times less harder to get now.
They literally couldn't design a harder way to catch a Pokemon if they tried.
Yeah, do you want to remind the people out why it was so hard?
Yeah, you had to put honey on a tree. You had to wait 8 real life hours, and fast forwarding your DS clock didn't accelerate that. And then the Munchlax would spawn on 3 trees at random, but those trees are randomized when you start your game, and there's like, I think 30 trees around Sinnoh, so you have to try every single tree to work out which ones are Munchlax eligible, and it's a 1% chance. So not only is it an 8-hour wait, not only is it a 1% chance, not only is it only 3 trees and you don't know which trees, it just takes forever.
Yep, but now we've got a way of getting it without having to go through that stress. Now, I'm hoping some areas are not as rare as other areas.
Are you the only one who's a little disappointed that Munchlax isn't super hard to get?
No, I am definitely not disappointed. Because I'm not spending 8 hours of my life, maybe I will. Saying that, I spent yesterday doing like 300 soft resets for Regieleki. So actually, maybe I am that guy. Yeah, maybe. I'm actually just quite happy that we've got a new area to play with. In this game, so I'm looking forward to playing in these little grottos. What is next? Oh, yes, early purchase. So you've got till February 21st, 2020 to get this Manaphy egg via mystery gift,
and a whole bunch of Pokeballs as well,
which is quite kind of them. Very, very kind of them.
I think it's like 200 Pokeballs. It's not a small number.
Do you know how we got Manaphy the last time?
Wasn't it an event distribution from the movie?
No. How you got it is that you had to have Pokemon Ranger.
Oh yes, it was Pokemon Ranger,
and you had to you had to get some sort of like connectivity from Ranger to Diamond or Pearl to get this Manaphy, which was
it was the base Ranger game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't the sequel.
And I remember my friend really wanted it, so I gave him my one. Bless him. So yeah, no.
The thing about Manaphy, you can breed it.
Yeah, but it can't evolve on spread.
Yeah, that's bizarre to me.
Yeah, it's really weird. But I guess it's probably to preserve the legendary or mythical status of Manaphy, I guess.
Phione is the only Pokemon in existence that has an evolution but can't evolve into it.
That has blown my mind.
Well, I mean, technically, that would almost make Phione a separate species, right?
Phione, the I'm not growing up Pokemon. Yeah. Any thoughts on the additions / changes overall?
Overall, it's I think a wonderful step forwards.
It's exciting, isn't it? It made me a lot more excited than I was.
That were really important to Sinnoh, even better.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of like the art style, and you could definitely tell that the models definitely had some touch-ups to them. There was a lot more lighting and whatnot to them. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I thought that it looked quote unquote sharper in the original video, and then it looked almost a bit blurry and washed out in the second. But it's just they've actually overlaid shadows and other things to it, and I guess they've adjusted gamma and things that have made it look a little bit more vibrant and therefore a little bit less like sharp and edgy, which I think is a good thing.
A good example of people want is like if you watch the two trailers, just watch when you encounter a trainer and look at the background. It's a lot more, like super high contrast and saturated compared to what we got previously. But I think all in all, in motion, it looks better now than it did previously.
Flora Aroma Town or Flora Aroma Meadow actually was the biggest visual comparison for me.
See, here's the thing: did we get? I thought we didn't get the meadow in the first trailer. We got the town, and then in the second trailer we had the meadow, which I think
both. We had both because someone did a side by side.
I'd rewatch it because honestly, I don't think we did. But you might be right. But I definitely don't think. I think there were two different things.
They must have had the meadow in both trailers because someone did a side by side.
I've seen the same side, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Oh, okay. I'll double check.
Maybe double check whilst we are on air. Keep me honest there because I did watch one a couple of days ago and I could have sworn they're two different areas. But yeah, BDSP, we've got 2 months. I'm ready. I'm ready for my 2 weeks off to play those games. I'm so ready. But yeah, before we move on, have you got anything?
No, not at this stage.
No. Okay, we're moving on. Oof. And here we are. Manaphy's there, but here's the news I wanted to bring up. The dub version of the Secrets of the Jungle / Coco movie is finally coming to Netflix on October 13th. Not only that, you're going to get Shiny Celebi and Zarude via a Pokemon Trainer Club newsletter, so make sure you sign up before the 25th for those codes.
Make sure you got your Go-Go goggles for the sandstorm.
Nice. I'm not even going to explain that one to the crowd. I hope they just get it.
It's great that we're getting the distribution. Obviously, it was in Japan. Much earlier this year. So
back in March 2020, they announced this distribution, and they said, if you get tickets to the movie, you'll get this distribution as well for the summer. And obviously, it was delayed from the summer to October in Japan. But yeah, it's nice that we're actually going to be included in one of these promotions and we don't have to pay anything for it, so that's wonderful. Just have to receive an email for it. Good. And on your hype scale, because I've seen the movie, but I don't want to give anything away to people, but on the hype scale, how excited are you for this movie?
10 out of 10. Every Pokemon movie is super exciting.
Super exciting, but not all of them deliver that, unfortunately. Oh man, there's been I rewatched the Pokemon movies a few years ago, and there's some of them are like, oh man, which one stood out to me in general was the black and white one, where it was split into 2 films depending on which legendary you preferred.
Yeah,
those were terrible movies.
Right.
Yeah, but
shout out to Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to our next segment, which is much to do about nothing. There's an Oreo on the screen.
Much this week.
Yeah. Nice little Oreo that's got I think 16 different variations on them. You can get them from the store starting tomorrow in the US, or you can order them online in the US. But a cool little collaboration that we knew about from the beginning of this year when they announced the Pokemon 25 thing. Very cool.
And really, have you seen the release video they did for it?
Yes, amazing animation on that.
That's really cool. I can't work out if they actually did that with real. I assume they didn't, right?
What?
But I want to believe that they did that with real Oreos.
With what?
With real Oreos, and it was stop motion.
Right? Could you? Oh man, put those people on the Pokemon Game Freak teams. If they're putting out that much work, Jesus. But actually, when I was watching the trailer, there was actually a nod to the Pokemon current series, where one of the animations that the Oreo protagonist does is actually what Ash does in one of the openings to the current series, which is really cool. So they give a little nod to the current anime, which was nice. But I don't have a comparison. I should have brought that up actually. Sugar. Never mind. But yeah, no, very cool. Watch the animation. If you're in the US, enjoy your Oreos. If you're in the UK, Brexit means Brexit.
I will try and pop it in the description.
Yeah. Krispy Kremes.
You were spot on, by the way, about Flora Aroma Meadow. Just
awesome.
Just a fact check.
Yeah, I thought it was strange that they would just all of a sudden just put petals out of nowhere into it's a bit weird. But hey, talking about petals, No, I'm not really talking about petals. Sprinkles. Krispy Kremes.
Yeah, this is something I didn't know I needed in my life, and now I need it in my life.
And guess what? Guess what, Amit?
Can't get them, can I?
You're not in Australia, sucker. Oh man, it sucks that we're not getting these. Oh, it hasn't been announced yet, but look at them. They look so cool. You can get these online, or I think you can get them individually in the stores, but online you can get the whole box with all the starters and whatnot.
I can make peace with the fact that some countries get exclusive stuff, given that we have Pokemon cards that sold for, I think, like £16,000 exclusive to the UK. So I can live with this.
Wait, what?
Pikachu on the ball, dude. Pikachu on the ball, exclusive to the UK, as are Sobble on the ball, Scorbunny on the ball, Grookey on the ball, Eevee on the ball, exclusive to the UK, and the Pikachu on the ball sold for £16,000.
I would sacrifice those limited edition TCG cards to get like all the promotions in the world and more. Honestly speaking, oh man, feels bad, but feels rich. Feels rich if you got one of those cards. The last sort of promotion I wanted to talk about was this Gengar rings from U-Treasure. Now, they do ship worldwide, so if you want a Gengar ring, which can range from £100 all the way to £1,000, just type in Google Gengar U-Treasure, and you should be able to find it.
Yeah. I don't think Sophie's letting me have that as a wedding ring.
Yeah, something tells me she's probably wise not to. Because I can just imagine at the wedding, you would just be like, you know, looking at everyone, just showing off your ring, like stretching your arm out constantly, just like, look at the ring. Oh god. I wonder what your like walking down the hall music is going to be.
I don't get a walk down the aisle.
No? Oh, she does, doesn't she?
Yeah, she will. Grimms don't get a walk down the aisle.
I don't go to many weddings, if you can tell. I try to avoid it.
Do you know what? It's funny. I've never been to an English wedding end to end.
Really?
Yeah, all the weddings I've been to have been Indian weddings.
All right, new segment. My big fat Pokemon wedding. Okay.
We talked about the company that do professional Pokemon weddings in Japan. Right?
We did, yeah.
Where there's a literal life-size Pikachu and female Pikachu who marry you, and there's like really cute food and invitations and lots of lovely stuff. If you want that for your wedding.
You want that for your wedding?
No, because I want to marry Sophie, and there's no way I get to marry Sophie in that kind of an environment.
I'm sure we can find a hypnotist.
I picked a lovely woman with taste, so I can't get away with the Pokemon gimmicks.
Well, I don't. If she's got taste, I don't think she'll mind in that case. We'll move on to our next segment. Pokemon Evolutions. Did you end up watching this?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Okay, guys, spoilers for like 2 or 3 minutes because we're going to talk about this, but I think where we should start is just basically the sort of character models. It's not something that we usually see when it comes to animated series, is that they've got more sort of like realistic, is that the word for it? Features?
Yeah, I mean, the word that came to my mind when I watched it was gritty. Like, it felt much more... realistic is a good word, but it's not just realistic. It's realistic in the gritty sense. Like, you see a lot more of the wrinkles and the textures of the Pokemon, things like that you just don't get in the standard anime, I guess, because it's very labor intensive to do that kind of art style.
Yes, yeah, it is. And the thing is, what you have to remember with like the anime series in general is that they produce that on a week by week basis, whilst this would have had a lot of pre-production and a lot of like time spent on the sort of animation itself. Yeah, it's very expensive and it's very intensive.
Favorite thing about episode 1 before we get into the details?
The characterization of Leon is what I'd say. That's what stood out to me the most.
Do you want to take a guess at what mine was? It actually ties to something we talked about earlier in the episode.
No, I can't guess. Hit me.
Ethnic Victor.
Oh, right. So here's the thing, right? I thought the same, but it's not. If you
it is. You can see in the lighting the Hop is paler than.
If you rewatch it, it's definitely just lighting. He's not actually. He's white in it.
Hop's paler than Victor in all the shots, and Hop is definitely not Caucasian.
I implore you, watch it again.
All right, I'll watch it again.
Because I thought the same thing, and it wasn't. It just wasn't.
I'll rewatch it. I thought it was ethnic victory. I got very excited.
I might be blind. I don't know, but I could have sworn I thought the same thing, and it just he didn't look it by the end of it. But that was a great episode, and why I really liked it is because I think in every portrayment of Leon that we see, he's always this very sort of like positive champion, very reliable guy, sort of seems unfazed by anything and everything. But in this, it kind of showed his vulnerabilities. You know, he was having doubts about himself. He was feeling sort of depressed about what had happened, and he wasn't generally feeling himself. He felt like I think he sort of felt like he let people down, and he was starting to lose himself. And I really like that they showed that side of Leon, something that we don't necessarily see from the games or the other anime.
It's heavily inferred by his outfit change after he loses the battle with you in the championship battle.
Yeah,
it's hinted at in the things that Hop says to you after the 3 days.
Yeah, he takes off his sponsorship cape and whatnot because he's no longer competing in the league championship, and then he goes to his what was it, the battle tower? Yeah, he goes to the battle tower.
Rose Tower, I think it's technically called.
And he goes there to fulfill his objective in a different capacity of making every trainer in Galar stronger than they were previously, which was really nice. But like you said, it's always inferred, but we never get to explicitly see it.
Yeah, and I think it's almost one of the things that you can't quite believe when you play the game properly is the insincerity with which Leon is coming out for that final battle. Because you could only, having the things that Hop said and otherwise, you know that Leon is hurting, his pride has been shaken, he's got all these doubts and things in his own mind, and he puts on a show. And that's what he is, right? He's a showman. He puts on a very good show. But you never really see that slip.
I think to his credit, though, at the same time, not only does he put on a show, but I don't think he's holding anything back whilst he's putting on the show. I think he's always going at full pelt.
No, not at all. But I feel like one of the reasons why you have the edge over Leon in the end is the fight with Eternatus just puts that seed of doubt in his mind.
But here's the thing, right? This is why I think when we do fight him eventually, he's not holding back anymore. Is because in this sort of short animation, there's a scene where Charizard goes up to him and points at him and like reminds him, remember who you are. You are Leon. Yes. And I think, once he gets that little shake from Charizard, he peps up, goes outside, and then he's ready to go.
I don't think he holds back at all. I don't think he holds back at all. I think it's more one of those things that when you watch the hero slightly fall from grace, and it's almost like the beginning of his revival story that then he goes on to make every trainer in Galar great. Yeah. And actually, that's a far better Leon than the one who was just about himself.
I think that Leon always existed. I think that's always been his aim by being the champion, by giving people something to aim for. But I think
he wanted Galar on the map.
Yeah, put Galar on the map. But I definitely think he had those doubts and whatnot after the battle with Eternatus, and it wasn't until we see that Charizard shot that he actually returns to the even better Leon. Acknowledging that he's got weaknesses, but that doesn't define who he is. Coming through those weaknesses is who Leon is.
I thought Inteleon came off really well in the episode.
Yeah, he's very stylistic, isn't he, Inteleon? It's one of those Pokemon I see in the main games. I'm like, this is James Pond or whatever. Pretty cool, but like it's never been one of my favorites. But when he's animated, I'm like, all right, I like it. It
just adds to the fact that he is, this very agile reptile, right? And he moves like a reptile. He snipes from far distances. I liked that in the. I was a little disappointed we didn't get a G-Max Inteleon, but maybe that was too much to hope.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's because Eternatus kind of controls those energy currents and whatnot, so he probably disabled it. Like we saw for Leon that he couldn't use G-Max Charizard, otherwise he would have.
No, and we didn't get the option when we fought Eternatus either.
Another really cool thing that came off was his intuition, Leon's intuition, where he's throwing a Pokeball at Eternatus, thinking, can I catch it? And then you can just tell he knows something's not right, and then like he's getting ready for something. And then he's like, Charizard! And then like Charizard goes to protect, Hop and the protagonist, Victor.
It's much more dramatic than it is in the game.
Yeah.
Because that same scene plays out, but it feels much more... the stakes are much higher in
well,
this.
you can see Charizard gets absolutely just mullered by it. You know,
and there's none of that. As does Leon, and there's none of that in the game, obviously, because it's PG-3, right?
Yeah, so it was really, really, really nice to see this being animated. And actually, I think I liked it a bit more than Generations that we got previously. I think it was really well made. This was.
Yeah, I thought it was very well made.
Yeah, I like getting to see new characters that we
chocked full of Easter eggs as well.
Oh, hit me, you son. Go on, hit me.
So in the opening 3 seconds, there's 2 Pikachus in the stadium cheering on Leon, and one of them's got a Victor's hat and one of them's got a Gloria's hat.
Oh, nice.
We see shots of Marnie and Bede and a couple of others as well. There's other tidbits. I haven't watched it. I've only watched it the once, so I will watch it again to find the other Easter eggs, but there are quite a few in there.
That's awesome. So, in terms of going forward, you excited for the next episode?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just a reminder to people, the next episode is going to be on the 23rd, and it's called The Eclipse, based in the Orlando region.
Makes me think that we're going to get, for some of the really big, hard-hitting stories, so I think the Rayquaza and Zinni one will focus on the Delta episode.
Yeah. And, and obviously, Guess This is going to, we're going to get like a Frozen episode. Where he just can't let it go. Not Dennis. Please, not Dennis.
He is Dennis.
Okay, we're moving on. Amit, where the Helioptile is Pokemon Sleep?
I have been, as you know, playing Pokemon TCG for a little while this week, and I learned a little bit about how the sleep mechanics work in Pokemon TCG. Okay. Do you want me to catch you up?
No, I just want to know how it relates to Pokemon Sleep.
All right. So when you're asleep in Pokemon TCG, you have to flip a. You meant to say yes. You have to flip a coin to see if you wake up.
Okay.
Right. It's as simple as that. What if they got a Pokemon to sleep to work, but now they can't wake back up because they can't flip a coin to get heads?
So you're telling me like every day they've been flipping a coin and they keep landing on tails?
No, they just can't flip the coin because they're asleep.
Wait, so it's a bit like Bill when he transformed into a Pokemon. He's like, well, crap, I can't transform back.
Yeah, like little Clefairy can't reach the keyboard, right? It's the same thing.
Okay, so we need to appeal to our listeners. Listeners, if you find out where they develop in Pokemon Sleep, someone go into the lab and wake them up. Take a coin.
You just need to walk around flipping coins all the time. And if one of us is close enough in proximity, maybe we'll wake them up.
And make sure the coin is not from a joke shop, because otherwise it's going to be permanently tails, and we're going to have no Pokemon Sleep for another year. So come on, someone find the lab, take a coin, keep flipping it, and we'll get our Pokemon Sleep soon, hopefully.
Shout out to Rahul, who bought a freaking gold Pokemon coin to the match this weekend. Such a baller. Moving on.
Oh, I could just imagine Rahul just like, yeah, what up? Gold coin. And then you fast forward to the end of the tournament, like he's like started off looking like a baller, everyone's in awe, and just by the end of the tournament, everyone's got no respect for him after his Pokemon TCG performances. Just like take a gold coin and get out of here. Oh god, what a legend. We're gonna move on to our last segment. It's the unknown fact of the week with Amit.
Did you know that the Spanish translation of the very first Pokemon games, with exceptionally poor quality, had numerous errors and typos, and one of the most remarkable mistakes in that game is that the move Slam is translated to Portazo, which actually means door slam. And this name remains incorrect even in the latest games today.
Oh, God. Charizard used door slam. Get out of my house, Mom! It's my life!
It's very funny to me that... I mean, Pokemon's been translated into so many different languages at this point.
Yeah.
But it's just... It seems... almost in a way like a bit of an endearment to the old games to maintain it and keep it. Why not? Of course.
Yeah.
But just such a misnomer and such... and obviously when you're doing a game of this complexity, way back in, 95, 96, 97, to translate it, it's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong.
It's like in the anime, when we're like, in English is like, Thunderbolt. It's like in the Japanese, it's like 100,000 volts. It sounds a lot more edgier.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that the Krispy Kreme donuts were not the same as Brock's donuts from the anime. What's up with that?
Oh my god! Please don't. Please don't. We're gonna get called out for being culturally insensitive because of the jelly-filled donuts.
I feel like that's not us being culturally insensitive. I feel like the Pokemon Company didn't trust the American audience to appreciate a good piece of sushi.
But yeah, the dumbing down of audiences is a conversation for another time. I won't take us out, buddy.
You can find the PokeRamble
just before you take us out,
podcast.
actually, I just want to apologize to the audience that I'm still getting back to my podcasting form, so I'm going to be a bit more rusty for another month or so please bear with me until then.
It's nice to be back, though. It is nice to be back.
It is. It's not nice that it's so hot in my house at the moment. It's unbelievable. I'm roasting.
Actually, just before we wrap up,
Yeah.
the Pokemon Company announced earlier today that there's going to be 100 decks being sold in Japan later this year, with all themed around some of the different V Pokemon, containing lots of competitive cards. But they're going to sell 100 decks.
Are you sure it wasn't just like 4 decks of like 100 Pokemon?
No, so they're decks made up of random combinations of 414 cards to form 100 different decks.
Damn, I must have read that wrong. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Sucks for us in the West who aren't going to get those and therefore have to buy all our cards at extortionate prices, but that's fine.
I don't know why I think this, but I think in Japan it's easier to get the rarer cards.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And it's one of the reasons why prices in the West and why things like scalping is so common is because the prices rocket.
Mm. Saying that though, I saw one of the cards I wanted for like 20 quid. And I'm like, I might go for it. Who knows?
There was a genuine moment when Rahul gave me the Charizard deck box, which I wanted to use as the core of my deck for the tournament of the weekend, where I was like, I probably shouldn't open this, right? Because it's worth a lot of money.
Oh, the Leon and Charizard one.
Yeah. I mean, I've sleeved all the individual cards, and if I ever did want to sell them, not that I would, but, they'd be in mint condition, but still.
The box itself was selling at twice the price it usually would have when I was looking for it.
I understand how Rahul managed to find them at market value.
Yeah.
Credit to him. And also credit to Calamity Cards, Harrow. Yeah. Shout out to them.
If you find... this episode was sponsored... No, I'm joking. If you find...
If Calamity Cards are listening and want to sponsor this podcast...
Yeah.
Hit a brother up.
Hey, I'm a shill, dude. I think if you buy the twin pack, you can then get it at market price. But if you're trying to find the Leon one exclusively, there's not a chance you're going to get that at normal price.
And even the dual ones are significantly higher in price.
I managed to get it at that price, but this was like months ago. So.
Oh yeah, no. If you try and look today, you will not find them.
Oh, fair. Sorry, take us out.
You can find the PokeRamble podcast every Sunday evening live on twitch.tv/KumailH, KUMAILH, where we record the podcast live with all our lovely people who come and check us out. Thank you to Mecha Shadow in particular for joining us today. We normally stream live 7:30 p.m. BST, British Summer Time, or 6:30 p.m. Universal Central Time.
Won't be the case next week since I'm out. But yeah, we'll figure that out eventually. Yeah.
And then if you can't catch us live, you can find us on all of your good podcast platform services, including Spotify, and also the entire catalogue of the podcast on YouTube as well. Just search for PokeRamble Podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone who has visited the channel and subscribed. We've noticed there's been a hike in sort of views on the videos, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
We really do, and please do, if you want to leave comments and reach out to us, please do, because we love knowing who's interested in what we're doing, and also what you guys want to hear about.
Yeah, a little preview for next week's episode. We will be going to history and looking at that region and what it's got to offer us. So yeah, that's a little preview for next week.
Can we use the DeLorean?
Marty! All right,
we gotta go back.
Goodbye, guys.